The Amazon is the largest rainforest in the world, so it's not surprising that a lot of it is still a mystery and unknown. Though the forest is home to over 30 million people, there are still parts of it that are inaccessible for most humans, but that doesn't mean animals can't make their way through. Here are 10 of the scariest things found in the Amazon and are probably better left undisturbed. Number 10. The Maricoxi. The world has been obsessed with the mystery of Bigfoot for decades, but with little to no concrete evidence to confirm its existence. It's currently not accepted by the scientific community as a real species. Something very similar to Bigfoot has been known to exist within the deep forests of the Amazon. The Maricoxi is a 12-foot tall ape-like creature which has a lot of striking similarities with the Bigfoot. But like the Bigfoot, there hasn't really been any proof to confirm that it actually exists. They were first encountered in 1914 when British explorers who were tasked with mapping the remote jungles of the Amazon allegedly came across them. They described them to be aggressive and hostile to humans and attacked on sight. Some reports claim that they're adept at using tools like bows and arrows and could very much well be a long-lost humanoid tribe. They're known to communicate purely through grunts and even have a social structure much like humans. Another theory claims that they are just an ancient tribe of really hairy humans that live deep in the Amazonian jungles and have had little to no contact with the outside world. Until more convincing evidence comes out, there's no way to prove that the Maricoxi actually exists, but if you do come across one, best stay away as far as possible. Number 9. The River of Death. When Peruvian geologist Andres Russo heard about the boiling river in the Amazon as a child, he was completely fascinated by it. At the time, there was no way to prove the existence of such a river. You see, boiling rivers or water bodies are not uncommon in the world, but it's mostly seen in areas close to volcanoes. But the Amazon doesn't have any volcanic system at all, so all reasoning of such a river to exist in this part of the world goes out of the window. When Andres Russo finally became a geologist, he decided to embark on the quest to find the mysterious boiling river of Amazon. After a lot of hiking deep into the forest, Andres eventually and surprisingly came across the famed boiling river. He noted that the river was not a small deal either. It was about 20 feet deep and 83 feet wide and had a temperature of 187 degrees Fahrenheit. Though the temperature isn't at boiling, it's hot enough to kill any animals or living things unfortunate enough to fall into it. But the discovery of this boiling water only gave rise to more questions. How can a river deep in the Amazon and at least 400 miles from the closest volcano system be boiling? After much research, Andres Russo found out that the fault lines under the river are the answer. The boiling river is part of a massive hydrothermal system which lets out intense heat from deep inside the planet. The heat leaks out through fissures underneath the river and ends up boiling it. Though this explanation might not be as interesting as something of a mystical origin, it is still a fascinating place worth mentioning. Number 8. Mysterious UFO. UFO sightings have been reported all over the world, and even the Amazon is no exception to this. A recent report from the Daily Record talks about a strange UFO sighting that was reported in the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. But the surprising part is that the UFO sighting was caught on Google Maps. Yep, through satellite images, the image shows what looks like a cigar-shaped structure lined with white orbs tucked away between the trees. What's strange is that this unexplained object sticks out like a sore thumb against the backdrop of dense trees for hundreds of kilometers on all sides. Since this structure was noted in the middle of nowhere, there's no good theory on what it is or why it's there. As of now, all we can do is theorize from just a pixelated satellite image. Number 7. Death in the Amazon. This one is slightly different from the others in this list. Though it happened in Amazon, we're not talking about the rainforest. This incident happened in a small creek behind the Amazon Fulfillment Center in Dallas. A body was discovered in the morning and local firefighters retrieved it from the scene. They determined that the creek wouldn't have been the cause for the death since it's too shallow. As of now, there are no further details on what exactly happened, and they have not released any comments. You don't need to be chased down by a mysterious creature in the Amazon to face death. It can happen anywhere, even behind an Amazon warehouse. Number 6. The Sawtooth Dolphin. As mentioned before, the Amazon forest is mostly unexplored because of how big and dense it is. So you can just imagine the kind of undocumented animals that might exist under its cover. The sawtooth dolphin is one such animal which was documented within the massive rainforest but has never been confirmed by the scientific community. That's because this strange creature was only seen by the River Monsters TV star Jeremy Wade when he released these images of the sawtooth dolphin back in 1993 and 1994. Since no one could find this creature since then, it's hard to validate their existence based on just these two photographs. The sawtooth is also known as a razorback dolphin, Holodera, and the Amazon Nessie. Until proper sighting is confirmed, the sawtooth dolphin will continue to remain as just another animal within the world of cryptozoology. Number 5. Amazon Ghost Town. Ghost towns have always had a notorious backstory. Maybe some kind of ancient curse, or murder, or accident. These kinds of incidents seem to forever taint a place. You'd be surprised to learn that even in the dense forest of the Amazon, there is an abandoned ghost town. Villa dos Descalvados was a town with its share of troubled history. The ghost town has a long history dating back to the 1860s, when it was used for farming, a prison barrack, and also used for smuggling various contraband. In recent history, the ghost town was owned by a Belgian company who used it for selling illegal rubber and beef jerky. Teddy Roosevelt famously camped out in this place 100 years ago during his 4-month-long scientific expedition through the Amazon. So yeah, this place has been a part of a lot of things. No ghost town would be a ghost town without ghosts, right? Well, Villa dos Descalvados has its own. Apparently, it's a 10-year-old girl who asks visitors if they want to play with her. Imagine being trapped in the middle of the Amazon and your only company is this ghost child. Gives me the shivers. Number 4. Humpback whale. The Amazon forest is known for having 1 in 10 known species on the planet. But there's one thing you definitely won't find here. A humpback whale. Well, not exactly true. In recent news, biologists were surprised to find a 26-foot-long carcass of a humpback whale in the middle of the Amazon in Brazil. The whale was being picked apart by vultures and looked like an infant since their species can grow up to an impressive 62 feet in length. But how on earth did a humpback get into the forest? Biologists came to a conclusion that it was a very strong tide that must have washed it ashore and it was trapped and couldn't get back into the ocean. But even then, it is surprising that a humpback was even in this part of the world. Officials suggest that the calf might have separated from its mother and ended up swimming off course and finally reaching the shores of Brazil and later getting washed up in the forest. The Amazon is just full of surprises, isn't it? Number 3. The Menhorcao. The Menhorcao seems more like a myth than a real creature. People first became aware of this animal back in 1846 when a French naturalist came to know of it through the locals. Many accounts put this giant fish anywhere between 60 to 240 feet in length. That is a massive fish. What makes it even creepier is that it apparently looks like a giant worm similar to the one from the movie Tremors and is known to feast on cattle and horses. Though there have been several expeditions planned in search of them, none has ever come to fruition. Some experts claim that the Menhorcao could be just a case of mistaken identity for a different creature like the South American lungfish or an extinct species of the giant armadillos which lived in southern Brazil thousands of years ago. With no concrete proof, all we can do now is just hypothesize. Hopefully, we'll have some proof of their existence in the future or of their inexistence. Number 2. Zombie fungus. If mind control is a thing, then you should definitely look for it in the Amazon. The zombie fungus of South America is one insane specimen. It's known to hijack the brains of ants and force them to do its bidding. This parasitic fungus is able to recognize the brains of different ant species and then proceed to take over the functions of its preferred ant. It releases mind-controlling chemical agents which hijack the central nervous system of the insect. What happens next is truly fascinating and pretty darn evil. The ant under the control of the fungus is forced to climb high up a tree and then pushed to bite onto a leaf or twig. The ant eventually dies and the fungus then grows large spores out of the ant's head. These spores ultimately flow down from the treetop onto the forest floor and infect more ants which come in contact with it. This cycle continues and the fungus continues to propagate itself. Crazy stuff. Number 1. Giant green anaconda. Of all the different species, the giant green anaconda is the biggest of them all. They're known to grow up to 25 feet long and can weigh more than 200 pounds. That's like a healthy adult human male. They generally hunt fish, birds, a variety of mammals as well as other reptiles, but there have been various reports of them plucking people out of the shoreline and drowning them underwater and ultimately swallowing them whole. Though these claims could never be fully substantiated, it still sounds plausible because of their enormous size. They're even known to indulge in cannibalism and have been seen consuming smaller males of their own species. Though they have teeth, they generally don't use them as much. They prefer to constrict their prey or drown them, and then finally loosen their jaws wide enough to swallow the entire kill in one go. Though they are generally known to be shy towards humans, it's always better to not test fate and provoke them like you see in this video. Talk about a bad idea. Well, that's the Amazon for you, filled with all kinds of crazy animals and wonder. Are you familiar with any of these mysterious creatures? Let us know in the comments. Before we let you go, be sure to hit the like button, share and subscribe. Later.